When you search for the best offense in NFL history, you'll rarely find this team mentioned. You'll see teams like the '07 Patriots, the '83 Redskins, the 2013 Broncos, but this team, 75 years later, still holds the record for most points per game in a season at 38.8. They average 4.92 touchdowns a game, 5.1 if you include special teams, and average 436.7 yards per game. They are the Rams, but not the 1999 Greatest Show on Turf Rams, the 1950 LA Rams. This isn't to say that they're necessarily the greatest offense ever, but they're not mentioned as often as they should be, hence underrated. They were truly explosive, scoring 466 points during the 12-game season, which is an average of 38.8 points per game, still an NFL record. The average points per game that year was 23. They scored 30 or more points in 8 of their 12 games, and 40 plus points 6 times. They were number 1 in passing and number 8 in rushing. They scored more than 100 points than the second best team, the New York Yanks, who had 366. Their average margin of victory was 23 points. So one reason they were so dominant was the star-studded roster. 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Bob Waterfield and Norm Van Brocklin, 2 Hall of Fame receivers, Tom Fizz and Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch, who both retired in the top 10 career receiving yards for the Rams, and what was dubbed the Bull Elephant backfield, led by Dick Herner, Paul Younger, and Dan Towler. Each quarterback, Brocklin and Waterfield, started 6 games that season, and both attempted passes in every game. They were each named to the Pro Bowl, and were first and second in NFL passer rating. Receiver Tom Fizz held the record for most receptions in a game, which was 18, for almost 50 years. The other reason was that they were just ahead of their time.
That was an offense that was way ahead of its time. They brought into the game the spread of wide receivers. And in fact, they would even take a tight end, spread him out, and in some instances had as many as 5 wide receivers in formation. That was really revolutionary.
Running was still heavily favored, and passing was in its infancy. There was no illegal contact, but they passed at will. The Rams actually kind of legitimized the passing game. Norm Van Brocklin still holds the record for passing yards in a game with 554 yards. On top of all the records they hold, they put up an all-time great, maybe greatest, 2-game stretch. They beat the Baltimore Colts 70-27 in week 6, then in week 7 they beat the Lions 65-24. 41 points came in the third quarter. To put up 135 points in 2 games was unheard of. In week 8, they'd amassed a modest 28 points against the 49ers, and that would set the record for most points in a 3-game span, with 165. A team has scored 65 points or more in 5 NFL games, ever. 2 of those were by the Rams in back-to-back games. Funnily enough though, like quite a few of these all-time great offenses, they went on to lose the championship game that year, falling 30-28 to the Browns after Lou Groza made a go-ahead field goal with 28 seconds left. Alright, thanks for watching.